Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Beth Clark.
Good morning. Welcome to our final session for APPA 2019. I hope you enjoyed this morning's breakout sessions, and I trust everyone had a great time last night as you explored more of downtown Denver, yes? Very good. This city has played a great host to our 2019 event, as has the Sheraton property. Let's give a collective round of applause and appreciation for all of the wonderful Denver hospitality. The title of our closing session this morning is The Levity Effect: Why It Pays to Lighten Up, with Scott Christopher. Scott has appeared on NBC's Today Show, Fox Business Channel, CNBC, NPR, and the BBC. He's been quoted in the New York Times, Washington Post, Boston Globe, New York Post, Newsweek, Economist magazine, Ladies' Home Journal, and many other publications. Since 1995, Scott has circled the globe, entertaining and motivating thousands of audiences, from senior leader retreats to all-staff meetings. This morning, he will share an unforgettable message and off-the-cuff humor, illustrating firsthand how levity, humor, and becoming a people person enrich lives at work and at home. If you would, please let's give a warm round of applause to Scott Christopher. Scott?
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, just enjoy that. That's, I don't know who she is. I don't know who asked her to do this. She's just enjoying herself. Let's go. Yeah, come on. Pump that up, Chris. Come on, baby. Here we go. If you're easily offended, look away, because I'm sure it gets a little randy here. There it is. Yeah. That's the big payoff. Okay. Wow. I'll let her know that you clapped for her. I don't know, like I said, I don't know who that is. I don't know what she's doing. All I know is she's just enjoying herself and having a good time. So here I am. This is me. This is basically what I'm wearing right now. I added a tie. You know, I don't have a big, uh-oh, dun, dun, dun. Look at this now. Oh, what happened? Did I do something when I went to the bathroom? Probably, she says. You might want to wash up after. Hey, how about a hand right there for, I think it's Morgan? Is it Morgan? It is Morgan. Man, I have a horrible memory for names normally, but sadly, when a woman is that close fumbling around with my shirt, I tend to remember her name somehow for some reason. There's me, there's what I do, there's some books that I've written or co-authored. I am a part-time actor, occasionally acting in things. Do any of you watch those Hallmark? Any of you fall for those silly Christmas movies? Yeah. You watch them, I'm in them. We're all just fools for it, I swear. I was in a couple last Christmas. I think I'm doing a couple more this year. They don't even start shooting them until late summer. A couple of those that I did last year were in like October. I mean, it's not high quality art. It's some girl from small town, ends up in the big city in some amazing job, and then goes back home for a dance and reconnects with the guy from Sweet Home Alabama or whatever. But anyway, there's me and some other jazz and some other things. And my first role was really, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I was only 10 at the time. What can I tell you? So I took all of my talent and I went to school and got a master's degree in human resources management. Yes, it's a natural transition, I think, from an actor to HR. Anyway, And now I speak on stuff, and hopefully people like it. I've been doing it a long time. Every audience is a little different. This one, I'm happy that 9 of you decided to stay to watch this. That's great. I'm assuming these seats were full at some point. Were they? Is this the last day? Yeah, that's where I get stuck usually, yeah. And then everybody goes, you should have put him earlier when more people could have had the chance to not come. Anyway. So I write stuff. What else do I have on these slides? I'm an actor. There's my happy wife, Liz. You can see she's delighted that I'm on the road again. We have 5 sons, no daughters, and that's apparently my fault somehow. I don't know how all that works. Here they are getting a little older, and she's a little happier. And older still, and now big smiles, knowing that they'll be gone soon. This is interesting. They are creatures of habit, if nothing else. It's even a different house. And that Walmart $3.88 clock is still a family heirloom we couldn't afford to part with. Yes, this is poverty, this is prosperity. That's what... Can you see the garbage down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including me, 6 boys and garbage just strewn everywhere. There they are getting a little older, taking after her now. The actual, they're all medicated, everyone's in therapy. God, looks like they're posing for a rock album, cover. No one's ever happy on those, but anyway. My wife actually has an interesting sense of humor. When she finally learned what LOL stood for, we were laying there in bed reading, and I heard her snickering, and I went, what's so funny? She said, I had no idea that LOL stands for laugh out loud. And I said, what did you think it was? She said, well, I've been using it as lots of love, LOL, lots of, oh, that's okay. She said, no, it's not. And she was laughing at how she'd used it. I said, well, give me an example. She said, for example, do you remember when your sister and her husband were going through that divorce? And she was texting their kids, it's all going to be okay. We're all a big happy family anyway. We're praying for you. LOL. Trying to be so hip and young, But the reason I bring that up is that even though she's never, I don't think she has ever, and there will be some of you in this room, and I hate to stereotype, so I won't. There will be some of you in this room who've never once told a joke before. You've never once attempted to say, okay, wait. Okay, a guy walks into, whatever, right? That's not who you are. My wife has never once attempted to tell a joke, and quite frankly, I'm fine with that because jokes are for joke tellers, and some people can do them and others just don't, so just leave them alone. But she has an amazing sense of humor. She gets humor. She appreciates humor. She said, I obviously married you for your humor. Aw, I'm like, what? Am I really? What? Come on. She's like, but truly, she loves humor. And she has that self-deprecating sense of humor. She's laying there laughing about what she had said, how she stuffed her foot down her throat, and she got a good kick out of it. I think that's great. That's a little bit of what we want to talk about today, is this idea of having a sense of humor and how it relates to building a happier, stronger workplace for everybody to be happy. A lot of people in my field and in leadership talk about employee engagement and all of those things. But employees really don't talk in terms of engagement. That's not a word that they throw around. Oh, I'm really engaged today. Are you engaged today, Louise? I'm so engaged. Check my numbers. My engagement must be through the roof today. They're just concerned about being happy. Everybody just wants to be happy. We just want to make it through each day and smile and laugh and not make too many mistakes and just kind of get home and be happy at home too. So that's really oversimplifying. Well, that's kind of what I do. I'm sort of the anti-speaker. I hate speakers. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't hate them, like literally hate them, but there's just too many. It's like 1 million speakers are born every day. It's putting me out of work. I'm not going to lie to you. I just have never been one of those cheese bag speakers, but I know there will be some things in this that you'll go, cheese bag speaker. And that's because other people stole it from me. So anything that seems like a trope or a cliche, it's original, because I've been doing this a long time. I know I must be much older than I look, because you don't just develop this kind of punch without years of road travel and room service, which isn't the best here, by the way. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, they deliver it in little boxes, and it's cold. So it's good stuff. All right. And then there's no one here from the hotel. They could take it back upstairs. So let's talk about being a people person and a little bit about levity very quickly, because we don't have tons of time. I know many of you have flights to catch. You want to get home to wherever you're from. What is a people person? If I ask that question, if someone says, boy, Mark, he's a real people person, he's what? What kind of words do you usually associate with Mark being a people person? Anybody? Outgoing, what was that? Extrovert. Yeah, I love those. Usually there's outgoing, the first word up there, right? Extrovert, a big personality, forward, engaging, whatever, right? I was working, speaking to a group of, I don't remember who they were, but it was in Palm Springs. That's not going to happen to you. Even though you spell physical facilities with 2 P's. I know, it's plant. At first I'm like, God, do they know that facilities is with an F? But anyway, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, now it really won't happen, because I'll be responding to litigation and lawsuits. But anyway, so this is Palm Desert, California, not Palm Springs. And I'm out running because I like to jog, and I get out, and I jog so that I can eat, basically. And I'm running, and I'm about 2 miles into this run, and I approach this intersection here where the happy face is. And there's a left turn light that is sitting there, and there's a car, and it hasn't gone for about 3 cycles of this left turn. And I'm starting to wonder if everything's okay. Luckily, it wasn't during a very busy traffic time of day. And as I get up close, I can see that there's an old woman sitting in that car. Not her. This is a model. I mean, it's not like I pulled out my camera and, hey, could I get a picture for future reference? But the car was stalled, and as I'm running here, and I'm getting down to this intersection, she's right there, I see standing at that corner working on some landscaping, not this gentleman, but a gentleman very much like him, and he looks at me, and I look at him. We both look at her, and I look at him, and I said this. I don't know if in 2019 or you can get away with it, but I looked at him, I made a judgment call, and I said, empujamos? Which means, should we go and give that old lady a push in her car around the corner so that she'll be safe and everything will be all right and she won't be mugged in this very terribly dangerous section of Palm Desert, California? They really have an economy of words in Spanish. And he looks, I speak Spanish fluently. I've lived among the Raza, so it's not like it was a terribly horrible racist thing to do to assume that he understood. It's Southern California. He's working on landscaping. You can see that. I took a shot. I knew he wouldn't respond in Chinese. It was just a stab. Quite empujamos. So he gets out. We run out to the street. By the way, on this other corner is another young man, just like that, with a skateboard, with headphones. He drops the skateboard. The 3 of us come out. To make a long story short, I said, put it in neutral, love. Put it in neutral. I didn't say love because that's weird and I would have gotten in trouble, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we turn the corner and we get down to about here. She says, that's good. My daughter lives nearby. Thank you so much. You're welcome. The 3 of us, different as night and day from each other, looked at each other, big, sweaty, tall, 6'3", 230, out jogging. The gentleman with the shears and the kid with his music, we all looked at each other, said nothing, and went back to what we were doing. Now, the reason I bring that up is because these guys weren't necessarily, the life of the party, at least that I could tell. There wasn't any glad handing or pats on the back. Hey, how's it doing? No, you changed it. Guy walks into a bar, blah, blah, blah. They didn't have the outward obvious appearance of people. Hey, I'm a people person. My name's Chuck. How you doing? Let's talk about you for a minute, okay? They just helped someone. And I thought, well, those are people too. I mean, they might not be as obvious, but they help people. That's pretty good. So without anyone asking, and because I have a lot of time, I researched this a little bit, and broke people into 3 different types. And normally you'll be able to associate yourself with one of these 3 types pretty quickly. A type 1, if we were to, by the way, we're characterizing these on like a spectrum. So type 1 is down at the left end. It's a very polarized definition. A type 1 are what we've sort of identified already. The outgoing, affable, funny, charming, great networkers, great with sales and marketing. They're just the people that are right in your face. They come right at you with the hand. They look you in the eye and wink and nod and speak clearly and loudly, and we understand what they say. All that. Sales, these are people who are great with other people. Strangers, friends, whatever. They just seem to be born with this ability to connect with people right away. But unfortunately, before I play that, let me just set this up by saying, if you're only a type 1 person, if that's purely who you are, because as you can see I have on there superficial, and again, this is a very raw definition. There's nothing beneath the surface. It's all handshakes and eye winks. So again, some inherent risk in the T1. The T2 then is at the other end of the spectrum, so they're completely opposite. Introverted, shy, maybe even clinically diagnosed. You need help. You're just too awkward and weird. But what qualifies them as a people person is that they actually care about people. They're just incapable of really expressing it. There was a guy at the front desk when I checked in, and I know I'm 52, my hearing's starting to get weird. Like, I hear what people are saying, I just can't understand what they're saying sometimes, especially if there's a lot of people talking. The lobby was really crazy, and this sweet young man at the front desk was like, "Welcome to the Sheraton. Let's get you out. No. What? I mean, I said, you have to speak up. We'll have you in the tower building. It's 4th floor. It's access to the Sheraton Lounge. Listen, Jimmy, raise it up. I can't hear you. That's just a small piece of sometimes what a T2 is about. And maybe he's not a T2. Maybe I'm just a deaf old freak. I don't know. But they are good to people, where a type 1 is good with people. This is kind of what it looked like, years ago. We would just kind of plug our headphones in and shut out the world. Do you remember those CD players, the CD Walkman? Yeah, not a lot of quality walking going on. You might as well just strap a turntable to your crotch. You're trying to listen to Foreigner or whatever, and it's skipping all over the place. I remember I had to run like this, So dumb. Today it's the exact same construct. It's just totally opposite is all. You just... $1,700 later, and you've got a quality pair of headphones you could have stolen from your grandma's house, because she's had those since the 30s. A type 3 then is the perfect blend. It's really where most of us want to be, right? It's the people who are born maybe with the ability to naturally be expressive, but have learned how to actually care about people. They've discovered depth they didn't know they have, or vice versa. T1 plus T2 is T3, a real people person. You can learn both sides of the equation. So why does this even matter? Why am I telling you this? I mean, it's enlightening and it's funny and it's kind of cool. But just, to sort of avoid, pie chart and bar graph overload, I've taken the summation of these things and you just put them on one text slide, because that's always exciting. But over the lifetime of a person's career and their life, a real T3 people person does these things. They make more money, they get promoted faster, et cetera, et cetera. Certainly you can read for yourself. Reading is fundamental. Riff. You remember the bookmobiles. Make more and better friends. I am old. Live longer and healthier lives, like this guy that haunts most of us men in every magazine that we read. Hi, I'm 92 and I can kick your butt down the street. I just don't even want to see him anymore. But anyway, how do you do all of it? That's the balance of my presentation as I talk about this final piece of the people recipe. I don't know what I call this. It's just 4 things. Kind of the 4 main areas of being a people person: communication, authenticity, respect, and then enjoyment. That makes the acronym CARE. There's a cutesy speaker's device, but it's better than Carl, because levity is the actual word, but I just thought I needed to find an E word that captured it so that we could have CARE instead of Carl. Like APPA instead of physical facilities professionals or whatever. I couldn't find I'm looking all over the internet. What the hell is APPA? It's some Muslim thing. There's all kinds of, I'm like, are these guys ISIS? What's going on? I literally have no time for this kind of banter. We must keep moving. So I want to just finish today talking about the levity effect a little bit, at least, and what it means. Levity is defined by Webster's as something that sounds totally inappropriate for a work environment. It is light of speech, it is light of manner, it's inappropriate, it's frivolous. Whether you agree or not, that's how they define it. I've redefined it with 3 main words that happen to rhyme, so you might be able to remember them. But this really does capture the essence of what is levity in the workplace. So if somebody asks you, what did they talk about in that levity effect thing, you could say latitude, attitude, and gratitude. Fairly self-explanatory, but I'm still going to spend 25 minutes and 13 seconds now explaining it to you anyway. Latitude is what you allow. How many of you here are supervisors, managers, directors, VPs, or leaders in any capacity that have underlings, minions, henchmen, servants, anyone, direct reports? It's all the same. Okay, so most of you. Okay, good. So this latitude is what you give them in terms of having levity at work, right? This is your allowance, your tolerance, or even you're encouraging them to have fun at work. My father, when he retired from the insurance industry, moved down to Florida from Michigan. There's kind of a pipeline from Michigan to Florida, it seems, for the elderly, and most of the East Coast for that matter. And then when the weather scares them, they go back home and die in Michigan. But anyway, either too hot or too many hurricanes, I don't know. But while he was in Tampa, he got a job working for Busch Gardens over in the Tampa side, the amusement park that no one's ever heard of or goes to, but it's a good one. And he got a job as conductor Jim of the Serengeti Express. He gets to drive the little train around the park. When everybody gets tired, he talks about animals and different rides and different things, and it's a tour guide job. And they hired him because they loved his personality. They loved his sense of humor and the fact that he could interact with people. He was a good T3 people person. And he said, is it okay if I add my own humor? And they said, well, if you'll get the 18 pages down, we trust you that you could add your own personality. Again, Jim, that's why we hired you. We love what you bring. We want you to magnify it and do more with it. And maybe you'll discover other things that we didn't have in the job description or whatever. So my dad takes the job. He was over near the Human Resources office one day. They had a cork board up that says employee commendations, and it was empty. And he said, what's this for? And they said, well, if a park guest has a really cool experience and they can link it back to one of our employees and they just want to say thanks somehow, they can come here and fill out a little form. It takes a second. And then we send the goldenrod copy to this and the pink copy to that or whatever. At the end of the day, it's worth an extra $10 in an hourly employee's paycheck, which isn't bad. Nice little spiff just to have fun or to do something above and beyond, which they should be doing anyway. He said, why is the cork board empty? And they said, well, why indeed? You know, the annual average per employee is less than 1. So we have a lot of budget just sitting here. It's just not being taken. And he just basically went and started doing his job as himself and got 45 of those commendations in his first month. 450 extra bucks for being himself, for having fun, and for helping the guests enjoy themselves and have fun. They gave him the latitude to be who he is. That's why we hired you. That's what we want you to do. He went on every month after that to continue to get double figures. They had to restructure the program. But it is an amusement park after all. And he's like, you know, I mean, you guys aren't going to hold it against me if I actually amuse people. Oh no, we want you to. That's latitude. I love it. It pays to lighten up. It pays him to lighten up. It pays Busch Gardens for him to lighten up because that's a value add. There's another attraction right there. Conductor Jim on the Serengeti Express. Go see him. You know, he performs daily. It's awesome. We never expected that to happen. That's not my dad, by the way. I don't know who that is. I just Google imaged happy old conductor, and that's what I got. You got to be careful what you Google image, but that one came back pretty good. I just thought he was more sympathetic to the story as I told it than my actual father, who's a little scary, to be quite honest. Tattoos, an earring, get on board and shut up. You know, he's like Macho Man Randy Savage, you know, conducting this train. But no more lying from here on out. That really, that actually happened. But it pays to lighten up. This is a slightly more serious industry very quickly, the food service industry at a hospital. So it's the hospital that's more serious than the food service. This is out of Louisville, Kentucky. They were in the first percentile nationally for food service satisfaction among their patients and their guests, their visitors. And some of the guys on Mike's team were like, yeah, high five. We're number one. We don't even try. That is so weird. He's like, yeah, I know. Do you not understand percentiles? He's like, Tim, didn't your wife have a baby last week? Yeah. What percentile was he in? Would you be proud if he were in the first for height and weight? Oh, no. I'm not proud either. He said the first percentile basically means that our patients and their visitors would prefer to have their food served to them by a farm animal rather than you, Tim. That's where we're at. He said, okay. He said, so let's start lightening things up, even though this is a hospital and everything is very serious and grave. Look, we've all seen Patch Adams and MASH. We know that laughter is the best medicine. We've probably even lived it and felt it. We know how we need to be cheered up, our spirits, our body, etc. He said, we're the food service people. If anybody can afford to have fun, it ought to be us. Let's laugh more, let's play more, let's enjoy each other's company more. He said all of our efforts started with each other. In fact, he said, we made a conscious effort to be positive with everything. We started showing each and every one respect, listening to them, thanking them. He's talking about his own teammates first. See, that's lightening up for a lot of people. It's not just telling jokes. In fact, it's not telling jokes or doing little fun office games that half the people go, I don't want to do that. It looks stupid. Lightening up is letting those people not play the games if they don't want to. We're good. You're not up for Office Olympics, Phil? No. Good. Well, you go back to your dark corner with whatever it is you're doing, and we're good with that. He said, we respect, we listen, we thank, we started stressing we should have fun at work. We got out of the business of serving meals and got into the business of helping heal more patients. And helping heal patients, and that's a lot more fun. The day-to-day routine of serving meals doesn't really change. It's their attitude. It's the lightening up. It's the latitude that he gave them to say, guys, if you're funny and kind of loose at home, I'm giving you permission to be that here. Within reason, it's still a professional work environment, but among ourselves, and even with the patients, let's have a little more fun with them. Did it work? Absolutely. They went from the 1st to the 99th in half a year. That quickly, that dramatic a turnaround, just because they were allowed to be themselves. It pays to lighten up. That's my fault. I did that. And sometimes it is just about giving a little bit of yourself. This is a commercial I was in like 15 years ago, maybe 20. Some of you will have seen it. Just giving a little bit of your time as a boss, right? Take a look.
Not today, pal. Dad's got a big presentation to do Monday.
Maybe Daddy can play next week, okay?
Daddy doesn't work. Daddy doesn't get paid.
People like Daddy's work so much, they pay him for it.
What now? What's this?
Can I buy some of your time?
No, you can't.
Wow, that's a shame. Well, what are you going to do? Okay. Moving on, kid. Live and learn, bub. Daddy's got work to do. Get out. Have any of you seen that before? Do you remember what happens? He says, no, for you it's free. And thank you. I will tell that child who's now 30 that you... No, but it's a great sentiment. Isn't it about time? And sometimes latitude is just that. Somebody wants to talk about their weekend a little bit because it puts them at ease. It just makes them feel more familial and homey. Even though there's a lot to do, we allow that. We want that because if we're more relaxed, the harder and better our work will actually be. Levity is latitude. Attitude is the next piece of the puzzle. If latitude is allowing others, attitude is what you individually bring to this levity mix, so to speak. I like to give away something. Usually I do it before now, but let's do it here. And this has a little bit to do with attitude. Who came from the furthest to be here? Who had the longest flight or the biggest? Got people up front here? Wait, where are you from, sir? South Africa. Wow, who can beat South Africa in any sport? Where, sir? Tasmania. I think we're going to go with the devil. What's your name? What is it? Murray? What did he say? Furry? Stand up and just stand up. Corey, will you stand in the aisle over here so I can hit you with this Frisbee? This is a small room. This won't be a challenge. Go all the way back to the wall. This is nothing at all. But look at what it says on the back of this. This is from Whammo. It says, well, you can read it for yourself, but highly competitive play is encouraged, but never at the expense of the bond of mutual respect between players, adherence to the agreed-upon rules of the game, or the basic joy of play. This philosophy remains core to the game and is a compelling reason why athletes continue to play. I love this. They get it. You could take that and just substituting a couple of words, put that on a wall somewhere at work and go, this is our philosophy of fun at work. Adherence to agreed upon rules, respect for each other, but let's compete and have fun doing it and whatever we got. This is for Corey from Tasmania. Move a little to your right. Oh, we've got gear. No, you're fine. And there's a camera. Oh, this will be fun. Stay right where you are. I'm going to have to play a little bit of a curve. So those of you in the flight path, just be prepared for a broken nose bridge. No, this shouldn't be. Stay there, Corey. Don't move. Look at him. He's beautiful. Nice hands. Oh, yeah.
I get the package.
You're going to want the package so you can take it back to Target. Okay. Thought I saw one out there on the mall. I probably should have bought it from that one. But no, I love the message. So it's about attitude. Attitude is something you can choose. One of the books that I wrote called The 7 Ups of Happiness, one of the ups is make up your mind. You know, happiness to some degree is a choice. At least the way that we react to events that occur in our lives. We choose the way that we react. We might not be able to control all of the consequences of certain actions or decisions, but we can choose how we react and how we feel to the best of our ability. We can choose to be happy. We can smile anytime we want, actually. And what's interesting is that even the beginning of a smile starts sending those endorphins to our brain. Oh, we're happy? So I should start releasing more chemicals. I'll release the happy chemicals. The muscles are moving and constricting and contracting. Laughter is even better than smiling. And you can make yourself laugh too. It's a little uncomfortable, but you can do it. A lot of people can just go and laugh, and that makes them feel good. It's very therapeutic. Not going to get into all of that. There's a bunch of wackos out there that do. I don't. They do laughter exercises, and oh, gosh, I'm so old and tired. That just jumping off the stage and running back to Tasmania over there. And I jogged this morning. I mean, maybe that's why I'm tired. But go out on the street, right out here on 16th Street. Check out 100 random adults. How many of them have at least one thing that they carry around with them in their heart or in their mind that is the cause of grief or sorrow or anxiety or fear or whatever? How many would you say? It looks like no one is disagreeing. Every stinking one of them. And just looking at this picture of about 80 people, how many are smiling anyway, or at least appear happy or appear not to be unhappy? Not all of them, but a lot. And I would say not enough. There's too many people who just wear what they have in their heart all the time. It's not doing them or anyone any good. There's something about when you're happy and other people are happy, it makes everybody else happy. I had a neighbor for years. I knew he was going through horrible things, but he was still up early every day, earlier than me, because I'm lazy. And if I don't have a job, you know, I'm going to sleep in. But I could hear him whistling every morning out as he's getting ready. In the winter even, scraping ice off his car. I live in Salt Lake City. We have winters there now and then. And he would whistle. Whistling. I love that. It's part. He never whistled a song that I recognized because no one ever does. It's just whistling has its own melody. I don't know what it is. It's some old guy thing. Suck it up. Sometimes things just happen. It's not your fault. It might not be anyone else's, or maybe it is your fault. Don't blame anyone else. We just suck it up. That's part of choosing happiness as well. Change happens. Change is going to happen. Change is really happening now. Technology is just advancing things beyond sometimes our capacity to handle, and it's causing anxiety in people. There's just that, how do I catch up? How do I keep up? How do I stay ahead of the curve? How do I learn? I'm getting older. Oh my gosh, I'm being pushed out by younger people. Here's some of you will have seen this, because this is kind of speakery, but it's just such a great image.
Time to refuel and change tires.
You know, it's the late 50s,
New
whatever there.
changes the tire. Only
This
4
is Indy.
crew members, including
There's
the
a pit
driver,
stop.
Are allowed to work on
Wow.
the car.
Hey, keep banging on my tire with a whatever that is. I'm sure it'll eventually come off. Could I get some coffee? I'm a little, yeah, thanks. And my windshield, I thought I picked up a moth or two on that last 30 laps. Could you maybe take care of that? Thank you so much. Okay, I'm in a race, guys. Do you mind if we...
Polishes the windshield as
A blazing 67 seconds later. Let's move forward to just more or less right now. Hey, how's it going? You know, I noticed back on the lap there I picked up a moth. Could I get my coffee? Hey! I'm not saying we can always stay up with the changes that are occurring so quickly with technology and other things, but you know, we just have to kind of have the right attitude about it. 3 quick levity truths. First, a sense of humor is linked to higher pay and a faster climb up the corporate ladder. 2, people who successfully use humor at work are seen as more confident and competent. And 3, someone needs to answer the kitchen phone. I love that. Was that yours right on the front row? Oh, and everyone's checking. That is just so great. It's like that old yellow phone hanging on the kitchen wall with the wire all wrapped and knotted. It's okay. Answer your phones. I don't care. Tweet, Google, text. It's all fine. I'm just background noise. I mean, I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm saying literally. Yes. You probably have business. You have buildings that need to be facilitated. Okay. With a PH. And 3, memes are stupid. Okay, moving on. All right. Remember, you don't have to be funny to have a sense of humor. I was trying to explain this on the Today Show a few years ago, and I was accused of flirting with the interviewer. My friends were like, "Oh, great interview. Holy cow, that's stuff on the Today Show. Why are you such a, it's like creepy." I'm like, "Ah." You guys watch this 10-second clip. I mean, tell me if this at all feels flirtatious. I don't even know what they're talking about.
The fact of the matter is most people aren't necessarily born with your kind of sense of humor, very
Well, thank
acute.
you. Yeah.
And you're cute as well.
You think I'm cute?
Well, aren't you? You're
Yeah.
cute. Sure, you're cute.
Anyway,
If it's the cute line, I don't know, I meant like a goldfish or a puppy or a little brother, something like, all I know is that my wife was fine with it. I will take either LOL on that one. So it pays to act appropriately with women who aren't your wife and to lighten up. I was asked to put this one in my deck just as a reminder that I should be better. Anyway, so moving on. Percent of employees who plan to stay at their current job another year who also happen to rank their boss's sense of humor in the top box of a survey. What do you think percentage is? Do you understand the question? Somebody give an answer. Who said 80? It is not 80, it is 90, but I like where your head's at. Let me go to you. 90%. So this is to give you a copy of the book. All right. What's your name, sir? Sheldon. Oh, Sheldon. No, you. Two. I'll come to you. Sheldon, I'm not going to give you the book. Get your ass back over there. I just saw TCU on a shirt, and I'm like, I can roughhouse this guy a little bit. You got usually a pretty good football program. No, usually. This last little bit. Yeah, he would. Oh, he's a hefty. Anyway, all right. So he's talking about the coach. Have you seen the coach at TCU? He could literally eat a meal off of his belly. But anyway, I mean, it's like a table. That's bizarre. I shouldn't say that, but since I have one, I feel like, you know what I mean? Me too. Yeah, I can make tummy jokes. All right, and you are Shelton. Okay, Shelton, here we go. Percent of bosses who think their jokes are really, really funny.
90%.
He says 90%. He's going in the 90s. He is really good. How about a hand for Shelton right there? 96. Instincts are good. Your sights are a little off, right? We need to calibrate a little because that is wrong. Okay, percent of employees who agree. And this is a blind survey, totally anonymous. Percent of employees who agree that their boss's jokes are really, really funny.
10%.
He says 10%. What do you think, higher or lower? I'm hearing lowers, 3%. But again, your instincts are spot on, man. You got to have a good sense of humor after this last season. Okay, percent of employees, there's always this year, right? We're getting into football. Percent of employees who agree when their boss is conducting the survey. 100%. Now he goes back to 100. Let me give you some parameters. First of all, 100% is statistically impossible unless there's like two people being, and this is a fairly decent sized sample. So I'm going to give you 3% on either side of your answer, but I'm telling you your instincts are really good. So now what do you say? With 3% grace on either side.
96.
He says 96. Don't you love him? Are you a numbers guy? What are you? What do you do? What's your job?
That's a lie. I'm the director of facilities with an F.
He's the director of F facilities, baby. This is a family audience, if you don't mind. We try to keep the euphemisms. We just say what we feel. No, we don't. Okay, he said 96. I've given him 3% plus or minus. How about a hand for Shelton? Congratulations, nice work. Now you can have the book. That's quite a swing in truth, isn't it? 3% when the boss isn't asking, 98% when the boss is asking. Is there too much premium placed on the boss's sense of humor being funny? Yes, it's ridiculous. We don't care if he or she makes us laugh. That's not the point. Don't go rushing back to, where is TC, Fort Worth? Fort Worth. It is in Fort Worth. I got it, yes. Don't go rushing back to Fort Worth with Shelton. They have enough people there. It's a nice place to be. Or Tasmania, which seems made up. I mean, how many of you honestly, truly thought that Tasmania wasn't real just because of the Bugs Bunny cartoons? Like, Mel Blanc or whoever made that crap up. There's no such place as Tasmania. There is. It's right by Timbuktu. Isn't it? It's like 4 minutes and 43 seconds. It goes so fast. Remember, it's your own sense of humor. Just because you don't think something's funny doesn't mean it isn't funny. It isn't funny to you. Humor is relative. We all have a sense of humor. In fact, my co-author's son and he were at a zoo, and his son was 10 years old, Tony. They stopped off to get some food. Tony ordered the nachos after seeing that picture of the nachos. Paid his $11, starving. Sits down, the kid behind the counter delivers this to his table. He says, wow, bit of a theory application gap there, but he dutifully eats every little drop and globule of that. As he's leaving the concession area, 10 years old, Tony looks to the kid behind the counter, pats his belly, does one of these, and says, pointing to the picture on the left, "My compliments to the photographer." His dad doubled over in laughter. He said it was awesome. My son made me pee with laughter. Those are those golden moments. Well, those are those moments. I've never said that before. That was a good one. I gotta remember that one. That's not bad. That is not bad. You guys are inspiring me today. I'm telling you, most people never laugh in this entire presentation. They're just such idiots. Anyway, so it's good. If a kid can do it, my point is if a kid can do it, all he did, I asked his dad, I said, is he that brilliant? Is he like a comic savant? Like Rain Man Jr. kind of a thing? And he said, no, he got that from a SpongeBob SquarePants episode. But he recognized something as funny to him, clever kid to get that joke, kept it, just filed it away, inventoried it, if you will, and then released it when he needed to. I mean, he was smart enough to know that timing matters, timing and place, and he nailed it. It was beautiful. It doesn't matter to have fun at work. This is 38,000 people, mostly millennials, who answered they like an even balance. You could make an argument that at least 94% of them said that they like some fun at work. It's good for them. Gratitude is the last piece of the puzzle and possibly the most important and easiest to apply because you can start today. Everyone knows how to say thanks and to mean it, to look for things that you appreciate about your coworkers or your employees. On the left, this is pretty much a decades-long survey that asks managers to rank what they think matters most to their employees. So this is their perception of what matters most to their people. And in every decade that this has been done, the tangibles are at the top. Security, wages, job promotions, insurance, benefits, things like that. Because that's usually what they hear from their people. When you get a chance to kind of get the ear of your boss, you always tend to say things like, should we hope we get bonuses this year? Or when are we going to, whatever, I can't think of anything. I don't have time. The clock is scaring me. I'm almost done. But employees say wages are important. Yes, job security is huge. But number one for us is full appreciation. We just want on a day-to-day basis to be acknowledged for what it is that we do. In fact, if you look at 8, 9, and 10 on the manager side, you will notice that they are 1, 3, and 2 on the employee side, basically. It's a complete, total, polarized change there. There's a disconnect. Be specific in your praise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a nice little video clip. But be specific in your praise. Make sure that you actually define what it is that you appreciate about someone. The days of just great job, everyone, those never really worked. The finger guns. Hey, don't go changing. You're great. You're beautiful. Have I told you lately that you're awesome? Hey, shut up. Does that guy even know my name? I mean, is it just sort of trite and meaningless? Make sure that you're as specific as you possibly can be. Oftentimes a handwritten note or an email or something. Well, you don't really handwrite emails. But if your email is specific, you will ultimately use your hands on the keyboard. This is a handwritten letter from a kid out of Austin, Texas, thanking a meteorologist for coming to visit them at their school. Dear Mr. Ramon, thank you for coming to our school and teaching us about weather. Someday when I become supreme ultra lord of the universe, I will not make you a slave. You will live in my 200-story castle where unicorn servants will feed you donuts off their horns. I can't even read the rest of it. It's so long, but he goes on and on and on. He has a picture of a horn-carrying unicorn donut. Be frequent. Say thank you a lot. Don't just like you don't say I love you once to your spouse or significant other and that's it for life. You know, you say love you, love you, love you like every day. And even though it seems sort of insignificant because it's just a love you, talk to you later, bye, love you, breakfast was superb, let's meet up later for lunch, mwah, mwah, love you, love you. You're like, it just seems like nothing. Take it away. In its absence, it's far more conspicuous. Okay, talk to you later, bye. Yeah, breakfast was superb, see you later for lunch. Take care. I mean, if there's no love ya, suddenly it jumps right out. Same thing at work, just don't say love ya, say thank you. That's a big difference there. NBA Finals. A couple years ago, the Mavericks were supposed to just lay down and die and take your punishment from the all-powerful Miami Heat. And the Mavericks blew them out, 4-1. Basically, Wall Street Journal found a correlation between their hugs, their slaps, their touches, their high fives. They were just more grateful to each other. They coalesced as a team. They came together more. Miami Heat was individually more talented, but they just weren't quite as teamed up. One of the top great reasons why great people perform, after all, isn't to impress the boss or to satisfy the client, but they don't want to let their day-to-day coworkers and teammates down. Engaged employees, if I may use that worn-out phrase, report greatest loyalty not to their company but to their actual team. We're loyal and patriotic to the flag. We're even more loyal to our actual awkward family. We're semper fi to the core or wherever we served perhaps, but even more fi to the actual blood and flesh human beings with which we serve. Our alma mater always has our heart and soul, but even more the friends that we connect with through Facebook and Twitter. How many of you don't know who those people are? Ask an elderly neighbor next to you.
It's so quick and powerful.
That's always fun. Who invented the light bulb, after all? Was it Thomas Edison, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas the Train, Tom Cruise, Tom Brady, the Brady Bunch? Of course it was Thomas Edison, who actually invented the commercially viable bulb. Well, ultimately it was Thomas Edison. There was a guy overseas named Joseph Swan in England, but Thomas Edison did, but at first he got it going and it just wouldn't burn very long. You know, it was like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 15 seconds. The guys at Home Depot are like, Tommy, we can't move these, babe. I got a pallet of them. There's just, come on. So even though he was the genius behind it all, he brought together a diverse team with different backgrounds, different skill sets, different ideas and education. He respected what it was that they wanted and what they contributed, and together they actually did lighten up, no pun intended, because it's not funny. What do geniuses do? They build great teams, or if they're foisted on them, they handle. They lighten up, they have fun, they tolerate it, they have latitude, attitude, gratitude. Bill Gates himself, a stand-up comic, but here you see, early on, he's barely even in the picture. He's like, just let these guys take it. Obviously, he had help in the early days from the mamas and the papas. The cast of Young Guns is there, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I see George Lucas on the upper top right, Charlie Manson beneath him there. Kiefer Sutherland to his left. I mean, we could have a whole group of people. Same thing with Steve Jobs, rest in peace, all the great eaters that he had with him. There was Mother Teresa and a gaggle of penguins. They don't do it alone. these people through history. So remember to start living levity. It's about latitude, attitude, and gratitude. You're trying to become a type 3 people person. You can do this. Anything is possible. If I could get that high off the floor, I've already told you my height and weight. That's some serious athleticism. I'm not going to lie to you, but it was not without cost. My wife put me in fairly tight pants that day, and the crotch ripped out, man, in the middle of the air, from stem to stern, like a full apparel episiotomy, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Now I know why they're called a pair of pants. I always wondered what that was. It's because a pair is coming out. But there I am, we're jumping, he heard it, I had to show him the whole. The reason I show you this is because I had people that I was speaking for, they said, send us a picture for our program, and you're the levity guy, don't just send us a glamour shot, 8 by 10. So I sent them that, and that's what they put in there. I ended up having to explain it. I think the caption was, he'll crack you up or some nonsense. So in conclusion, take this home with you. There's the family more or less today. Happy, normal, complete, smiling. We actually finally did have a girl after all those boys. Yeah. I'm not crazy. My wife was 48. I mean, we had to marry one, but we got one. And she's way prettier than anyone in that whole picture deserves. So they're only going to get worse from there. I hate to say it. But anyway, so in all honesty, this is the end. It's not so much about being the next Jeff Foxworthy, who once said, if your idea of loading the dishwasher is getting your wife drunk. Loading the dishwasher, yeah. You might be a redneck. It's more about being the next Jeff Bezos, richest man on the planet and CEO of Amazon.com, who once said, we've got thousands of investors counting on us and we're a team of thousands of employees counting on each other. That's fun. Lately in the news, it hasn't been as fun for him, but still, it's a good quote. Now appearing, this is Richard Pryor. It's not so much about being the next Richard Pryor as it is about being the next Rich Kovacevic, former CEO at Wells Fargo, who said when no one's having fun, when people aren't thanked and appreciated, they lose interest and become disengaged. It's not so much about being the next Will Ferrell as it is about being the next Will Marriott, in whose property we now stand, who said, greet your people, talk to them, get to know them, ask about their families, know them on as personal a level as they'll allow. It'll make all the difference. It's not so much about being the next Robin Williams as it is about being the next Robin Gibb. I can make this work. Who once said, what you doing on your back? What you doing on your back? If you know the song, you know what's next. And you also are finally learning for the first time what in the world he actually said in those previous lines. You should be dancing, dancing, That, my friends, is a quick look at the Levity effect. It pays to lighten up. Thank you so much. You guys have been great. I have a book to give. Ma'am? Sure. You have a great laugh or someone near you. Travel safe. Have fun at work. Enjoy. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Beth Clark.
I have to say, it has gotten exponentially easier to wrap up a general session speaker this week. Scott, thank you so much. I just put a bow on top of that. We're done. No. Scott, thank you for such a thought-provoking presentation, for making us laugh, for not making me laugh too much that I started coughing, because then I wouldn't have made it back up here. And thank you for joining us today. One more round of applause, please. It has been an amazing week. As we prepare to travel home, I have the honor of sharing with you where we're headed in 2020. So park your car and prepare to have a wicked good time, because we're going to Boston next year. APPA 2020 will be held August 1st through the 3rd at the Heinz Convention Center and the Sheraton Boston Hotel. Let's view a short film that highlights the many exciting things you'll be able to see and do in Boston. So you've heard of the Boston Tea Party. Next year, we're going to have a Boston APPA party. With that, let's continue to engage, to share, to network, to transform our institutions into even greater learning environments. Thank you all for being here this week. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next year in Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you, safe travels, and goodbye.
It might seem